Sage of the Shadows, where dark whispers echo through the night.
Audio story, Blood Twins. Chapter 1. Stalker Under the Moon. The full moon dominated the forest, threatening to strip away the disguise of everything around, birds, animals, and the girl who clung to the shadow of a massive tree. Her hand brushed over its rough, barked surface, reminiscent of freshly shaved beard. She let her fingers trail up and down, as if trying to recapture an old memory, but soon surrendered to the present. Her long red hair, deep as fire in the moonlight, fell over her shoulders and framed an elegant face with pale ivory skin that seemed almost translucent under the silver glow. The fitted leather outfit she wore accentuated her hourglass shape, each breath pressing against the confines of her clothes. High boots hugged her legs, allowing her to move soundlessly across the forest floor, a hunter's grace in every step. Her legs finally pushed away from the shelter, moving toward the distant light. Each step was burdened with pain and regret, yet they continued, stubborn, relentless. The light wasn't her only goal, it was merely a step towards something more profound. The girl raised her eyes, narrowing them as she caught sight of a figure in the distance. Footsteps soon followed, echoing in the silence. She licked her lips and emerged from the shadows, compelled to greet the approaching guest. Her blue eyes, deep and alert, locked onto the silhouette, sparking an unspoken tension in the air. The sound of footsteps grew louder, and the moon betrayed the figure's position, casting an elongated shadow. The girl's body, clothed in dark leather that absorbed the dim light, tensed. Without hesitation, she spun and pressed herself against a nearby tree, her hands braced against the bark, her eyes peering out, alert and hungry for knowledge of the intruder. It didn't take long for him to step into view. At first, he walked confidently, but then halted, his body tensing as he sensed movement within the shadows. "Who's there?" he called, his voice quivering. The girl took tentative steps forward, the leather of her clothes creaking faintly, her body betraying her mind's hesitation. She emerged, allowing the moonlight to highlight her features. He stared, stunned, at the unexpected sight of a woman. "What are you doing here? Did someone hurt you?" he asked, questions pouring from him, edged with uncertainty. But silence was her response. Her eyes, now narrowed and probing, locked onto his, sparking a primal fear that made the hair on his neck rise. The scene was surreal, and his mind scrambled to supply rational explanations, none of which comforted him. The seconds dragged, stretching into a nightmare that seemed to confirm the existence of things he never believed real. "Are you a ghost?" he whispered, the question sounding absurd and hollow. A wide smile split her lips, revealing teeth that gleamed unnaturally bright. Something about that smile made him step back. It wasn't the smile of a kind soul. It was a harbinger of pain, chaos, and death. "I should go now," he stammered, forcing the words out as he turned, moving with a speed born of alarm. He barely registered that his back was now exposed to an unknown danger. Any thoughts of everyday life, family, routine, or anything familiar, vanished. Only instinct remained, raw and terrified. "I'm better than that," a whisper caressed his ear, carried on a chill wind. He jolted and spun around, horror etched into his face as he saw her now inches away. He scanned her features again, finally understanding what had haunted him before, her eyes, now a deep, churning crimson. They were not merely red but alive, filled with a storm of fury and dreams, flickering like an ocean in the throes of a tempest. The moon cast its silvery light, making it all feel both vivid and unreal. She stood there, tall and defiant, with high boots planted firmly and the soft curve of her waist hinting at strength beneath the softness. "Please, leave me alone," he pleaded, turning to flee. But her left hand, encased in supple leather, gripped his sleeve, while her right traced the line of his neck, coaxing it down toward her waiting lips. A sharp click resounded in the still air. His eyes widened in helpless terror as he struggled, each movement futile against her inhuman strength. Time fractured, every second stretching into an eternity. She was not in a hurry, he could feel it. "Please," he begged once more, voice breaking. And then, unexpectedly, she released him. He staggered back, stunned, his fingers brushing the wound on his neck. Was it real? He glanced around, bewildered to find himself alone. Fear propelled him into motion, sprinting toward the direction he had come from. There was a place nearby where he could gather his thoughts, seek a fleeting sense of safety, and maybe, just maybe, understand what had happened. "Miss me?" The voice whispered behind him, slicing through the night. His scream cut through the park and echoed beyond the towering trees. This time, the click was followed by searing pain. His limbs went limp as she pushed him away, eyes wide as if lost in a trance. She crouched beside him, hand trembling in the air before reclaiming control over her body. His eyes, frozen open with terror, no longer blinked. His body was rigid as stone, the neck marred by the marks of her bite, remaining blood trailing in thin, dark lines. With effort, she tore her gaze away from his lifeless form and turned toward the path he had taken before. She knew well what lay beyond that line. She didn't want to go, but hunger, insistent and undeniable, was her master tonight. And it would not let her linger in doubt for any longer.